I'd like to perhaps have a couple of questions from the audience members, but first, if for 30 seconds, if you could tell us, if you had one thing to tell all of us that would sync up with doing good and doing well and just being successful in whatever you do, what would it be? You have nothing else that you're going to leave the audience with but this one thing.
I think for me is my greatest teacher is this son of this Jewish carpenter that said, if you want to be great in life, you've got to learn to be a servant. And I think that's the model in which I live my life by. If you want to be great, serve others.
And you live that. Crystal?
Know yourself and be true to yourself and be able to stand firm in your convictions, even if others don't see the world as you do, even if they don't agree with you. Know yourself and stay true to that.
And Dave?
I actually wrote one before we came, but I want to switch mine to Manny's.
Manny has that impact on people, believe me. You leave a room saying what he said. So.
I had 4 little nuggets. Find your sweet spot, bloom where you're planted, be a fountain, not a drain, and don't let the world define you.
That's good.
Excellent. Marlon? Arthur. Arthur.
That's all right. You can keep going. I don't know what it is.
No, you're not being overlooked, Arthur.
And I don't want to steal from Manny, Crystal, David, and everything. But definitely, I would say believe in yourself and being a servant. I have actually 6 points that I'll always like to leave people with. So I'll be real quick with them. I think that number one, you have to have a vision of your life and your passion of what you want to do. I believe you need to have a plan of attack to get to your goals. I believe that execution and not just letting life pass you by and be a doer. Making yourself a brand of who you stand for as a person, not only just as in business, but just, as a person. What do you stand for? Who are you? What is your product? Networking, building great networks with people. I think that is great. And the final point is deal with the unknown, the fear factor. I think then get comfortable being uncomfortable.
That's wonderful. And Marlon, please.
I think I alluded to this earlier, but in life, you have to find your calling. And it's just not enough. You're not going to move the needle if you just routinely go through life haphazardly. When you find your calling, you're going to end up doing well because that's what motivates you. And so find your calling.
Great. Ted?
The Bible in Luke chapter 12 says, to whom much is given, much is required. And I tell you, my favorite statement, I don't know who made it up, but I claim it as my own, but the easiest way to help yourself is to help other people.
Great. And Scott?
Good. Well, I'll finish on the thought that tripped me up a little bit earlier, lost my mind, but William McDonough just observes that often when people talk about Archimedes, they talk about give me a place to stand and a lever long enough and I can move the world. And the fulcrum is often left out of that. And just as an analogy stands, that fulcrum could be used as values and purpose in life. And without that base, that solid base to pull the lever down on, you're just not going to move the needle. As Marlon said, you're going to poke holes in the world. And so my biggest advice in what I see in great leaders is typically they are driven by a purpose and they have a sense of values to know what to say yes to, but also what to say no to.
Excellent, excellent.